Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Matucci, and today we're going to be reviewing some critical reflection examples. So when you're learning how to do critical reflection, it can be really helpful to see what these reflections look like. So that's the purpose of this video. A little bit of context, we're going to be reviewing three reflections. These were written by engineering co-op students after their second year of studies, and they're reflecting back on their experiences in design one and design two. So yeah, we'll see this is their first time doing a reflection. So we'll kind of see what some things they're doing well and some mistakes that hopefully you can avoid in your reflecting as well. So with that, let's get started. Reflection example number one. Okay, so here we have our first reflection. We see this one's a little bit longer, and the student has attempted to address multiple of the reflection criteria in this reflection. So let's go through it and see what we can find. I'm going to zoom in here to make it a little bit easier to read. Okay, so important aspects. In a software design project, I finished my assignment well in advance of the deadline and kept Trello, our agreed upon platform, updated. My work was replicated by a teammate who interpreted the lack of confirmation on direct messages. This emphasized the significance of having explicit communication guidelines, which should include specifying preferred channels of communications, such as Trello messaging at the outset. So this is a good intro. One thing I would say, the real important aspects of the experience is this line right here, the work being replicated by a teammate who misinterpreted the lack of communication on direct messages. So even those extra details could have been trimmed a little bit. This is sort of the key. It's nice to provide context if you have some extra words, but it's not really that critical. So let's look at the next one, theory. The theories of project management and team communication that I covered in my individuals and groups and organizations course have a direct impact on this circumstance. In a team environment, good communication is essential to making sure everyone is on the same page. While I don't disagree with the premise, as far as critical reflection, which theories are we talking about? This is not specific enough. It's too generic. Whatever these theories are and what they mean, how do those actually relate to this circumstance? This is just saying that they kind of relate, which isn't really helpful. It's not building those connections. So let's look at the next one here. Context. This scenario was similar to what it was like to teach a new employee. I gave the new hire an explanation of the daily inventory update procedure along with the vital password. The new employee assumed that his work was done when management interrupted. Therefore, he neglected to update the inventory. This emphasized how crucial it is to double check information, even when it seems clear. And so I'd say there's a good high level connection here between two different contexts. What's really important when you're relating between contexts is to critique how the contexts were more similar or more different from one another. So for example, in this case, did it result in a similar duplication of efforts that he's saying happened in the context that he's reflecting on? So really you can just go a little bit deeper here. This next one here, personal reflection. I think this probably means personal thoughts and feelings. Looking back, it was upsetting, and actually looking back is not even necessary. So these are kind of filler words. You can trim these out. They're not really adding anything to the reflection. So we just start here. It was upsetting to be told I wasn't done, even though I followed the professor's instructions to the letter. It underlined how crucial it is to communicate early, especially when it comes to seemingly simple matters. So again, we could probably go a little bit deeper here. Why were you upset? If this is sort of what happened, but what's unique to you and your own feelings in this exact situation? So moving on to cause and effect. The miscommunication in the software design course project occurred because we hadn't discussed the need to supplement Trello updates with direct messages. There's the cause. This led my teammate to believe the task was incomplete, causing unnecessary rework. That's the effect. The outcome taught me the critical importance of establishing and adhering to clear communication protocols within a team. So yeah, there's cause and effect, saying what happened, what the effect was. Moving forward, I will ensure that my teams agree on and follow the detailed communication strategies to prevent such issues. This last sentence is kind of more leaning into future planning, so probably doesn't need to be included in cause and effect. For other responses, here we have, again, reflecting on the incident. We don't need to include this. We know that you're reflecting on this incident. That's just filler details. So we can start right here. I realize I could have proactively confirmed with my teammates that they saw the Trello update or directly messaged them to reinforce the completion status. Doing so might have prevented the misunderstanding and saved my teammates time. This experience has reinforced the value of multiple communication channels and redundancy in critical updates. Yeah, that's really good. Not a whole lot to say on that. They're kind of seeing what would have happened if I had done things differently. And the last one here, future planning. For future projects, I plan to develop a communication protocol at the outset, including both platform updates and direct messaging as necessary. I will also hold regular check-ins to ensure everyone is on the same page. By doing so, I aim to measure success through improved team coherence and reduced instances of miscommunication, adapting our strategies based on feedback and evolving team needs. So this is one that tends to come up a lot. When we're talking about future planning, we need to be more specific. What exactly are you going to be doing? How are you going to measure success? How often is regular? What's going to happen if how are we going to actually measure success through team coherence? And I guess reduced instances of communication, that's not bad. You can kind of check in on how often things happen, but for future planning, we want to be really specific. So kind of zooming out again on this first reflection here, I would say this is a really good start. The only thing is I would generally prefer and generally advise that you instead go deeper on a few of the criteria that match your experience a little bit more closely. This student tried to cover everything and was a little bit superficial when really if they just zoomed in on they did a great job with cause and effect. They did a good job on other responses, but they could have gone further on some of these so what criterias. So yeah, so a good start, but lots to build on here. Reflection example number 2. So here we have our second example. This is a short one. It's kind of one paragraph, so maybe a little bit harder to read, but we'll get into it. I'm going to zoom in over here so we can see what's going on. So in my experience as part of a design team, we face significant challenges due to lack of communication. So this right off the bat, this needs to be more specific. This is too generic. I would say that every single design team experiences significant challenges due to lack of communication. So what's specific about your circumstance? What happened in your team? That's what we want to be reflecting on. This led to critical steps of the project being delayed until right before the deadline. Additionally, our project took an unexpected turn when our 3D printer failed. Despite these hurdles, I felt a unique sense of joy. This was not a typical response to such a situation, but I saw it as an opportunity to showcase my problem-solving skills and significantly contribute to the team's success. So this is good. This is much richer here. We're including some personal feelings, why we felt this way. This is good reflection. We're getting a little bit deeper here. Reflecting on this experience, I've realized the importance of effective communication and early completion of tasks in a team setting. So a little bit disconnected between some of these themes. In the future, I plan to ensure that all team members are in constant communication with each other using regular meetings and collaborative tools. So this is, where we go, in the future here. This is similar to the last example where the future planning is not specific enough. How will you know that you've been successful? Another example here is, what is constant communication? Does that mean communicating hourly, daily, weekly, monthly? Those are all different things. And so what's your definition of constant? Similar with regular meetings or collaborative tools. Specifically, what are the tools that you plan to use? I also aim to advocate for tasks to be completed well ahead of time in the deadline, providing us with ample time to handle any expected issues to keep the project on track. So same things. How will you know that you're advocating with ample time? This experience has reinforced my confidence in problem-solving abilities and my capacity to perform under pressure. I look forward to applying these learnings in my future projects. So again, kind of general with the conclusion there. So I would say overall, this is, again, a good start. but need to be more specific. We need to be more specific about the experience that the student is having that they're reflecting on. And also, one thing that can be helpful in a case like this is to be more specific about the reflection criteria. Which ones are you actually trying to use to reflect? We kind of saw a little bit of personal thoughts and feelings. We saw a little bit of future planning. But if you're consulting the framework and kind of looking at that, there should be a few that align really well, and focus on those and go deeply. Reflection example number 3. So here we have our third reflection. This one's got a couple of paragraphs. Let's zoom in and see what they're reflecting on here. In comparing Design 1 and Design 2, several notable differences and similarities emerged. In Design 1, we were assigned to groups without the opportunity to choose our teammates, resulting in a mix of different personalities. This sometimes led to conflicts and disagreements, making it challenging to motivate everyone to complete the work on time. Alternatively, in Design 2, we were able to choose our groups, and I initially thought this would be a lot better since I was working with friends. I believed that being surrounded by familiar faces would create a more cohesive and supportive dynamic. However, this arrangement sometimes made the situation more difficult. When friends did not fulfill their responsibilities, it felt uncomfortable to urge them to complete tasks promptly, and it was harder to feel justified in expressing frustration. The personal relationships made it difficult to establish a professional boundary, which sometimes led to procrastination and lack of accountability. In this aspect, both experiences were quite similar because the group dynamics in both scenarios prevented their own set of challenges. So I would say this is really, really good. This is a great, rich paragraph that has lots of aspects in it. It's highlighting the important aspects of both of these experiences. It's comparing the two contexts. It's talking about what's similar, what's different, and it's really answering those deep questions and getting to those deep answers around so what and why is this learning important. So really good. Let's look at the next one here. One of the main lessons I learned from this experience is that working with friends can complicate professional interactions. While it might seem advantageous to collaborate with people you already know and like, it can actually remove the necessary professional distance required to handle conflicts effectively. When friends are the source of the problem, it becomes challenging to vent frustrations or address issues without damaging the personal relationship. So this is also really good. This is a good kind of a cause and effect. So it's talking about what some of the aspects there, what were some of the causes that led to some of these challenges, and really kind of abstracting them out. Therefore, I would not say working with familiar people is considered more difficult, but it is necessary to think thoroughly about the future possibilities of conflict and how I would handle these challenges. So I'd say like there's no real specific planning on how this learning is going to be carried forward, but it is doing a good job of kind of abstracting out some of the elements of working with friends and not working with friends and how that can lead to challenges. So I would say overall, this is another great start. This student could be a little bit more explicit about the criteria. Sometimes we have like a nice rich paragraph like this. You know, we're doing a good job and we're reflecting. We don't know exactly which criteria we're building on. And so to help with the learning process, to be explicit about what criteria we're touching on. I'd also say kind of for feedback here going into the future, how might these lessons affect your next team experience? What specific things will you do at the outset of your next team? Really, that's this now what criteria and carrying it forward. So I would encourage you to do something like that, although this is a great start and did a really good job. So that's it for our reviewing critical reflection examples. Hopefully this proved useful, both for helping you write your own as well as reviewing other reflections. And we'll see you next time.